So now, if I could take you just on a journey, let's just say that it's March of 2050. What is the future going to look like? Since we've taken you back 32 years, let's take you forward 32 years and imagine that we're in a different day and time. The United States population is going to grow to around 440 million people. World population will be around 10 billion people. I imagine that most of that population is going to be located in these mega regions that are growing very rapidly. And as a result of mega region growth, we'll see changes in infrastructure. But we're also going to see dramatic impacts from global climate change. The amount of temperature rise across the North American landscape is going to be really significant by 2050. We're likely to even see reverse migration patterns, where people are moving out of exceedingly hot climates in the southern part of the United States back up into the northern climates where it's more seasonable to live. It's hard to say. We know that global climate change is upon us. We expect to see changes. Cities like New York and Charleston and Miami are the front line in terms of threat from global climate change and rising sea levels. What's going to happen there? I imagine that autonomous vehicles are going to be a real important thing that goes on. I sort of see that we take the driver out of the equation and we make it more about the trip experience. Well, what's the end product of that? I think we're going to see a lot of land use changes and perhaps even more efficiency in the way automobiles are used. Cities might in fact find themselves with undeveloped or underutilized space that they could return to green space, and that could help the Greenway equation. I believe we'll also see a growth of the experience economy as the ownership society begins to fade away and people value experiences more, and the globe is more accessible to more people moving around. Trails and greenways will be a big part of that experience economy, something that we need to take advantage of. And the companies, some of the most highly valued companies today, like Apple and Google and Amazon, whether they exist 32 years from now, hard to say, but I think that the experience economy will continue to be a big part of American life. I also see a tremendous rise in robotics, and I could see that almost every household has some sort of robot that is servicing daily life, certainly in industry, certainly in travel and tourism. And we're on our way to colonizing Mars. My vision is that happens because we're looking for rare minerals and other things that powers this high-tech lifestyle. It's a big if, but we're already beginning that journey, and I can see a time where there's a certain number of human beings that are living off the surface of this planet and looking at another planet. So if that's the crazy reality, the crazy future that we're going into, what's the value and role of greenways and trails going forward? Well, I think this emerging network continues to grow, and it's quite possible that we might add 25,000 miles of new trails into the landscape, and these will be very significant miles because they'll be the connectors, the things that really bridge us, filling in gaps across the American landscape. I feel like the greenways and trails of the future in the year 2050 will really be about valuing the environment. I think we realize that we're on a vulnerable planet. I think there's going to be growing appreciation for ecology and the environment, and I think greenways link us to that in a very strong way. Also, a celebration of culture. We'll get more used to the diversity of culture, and I think greenways and trails provide us a great opportunity to celebrate those different cultures. Greenways and trails will contribute to a very strong economy in the future, this experience economy, this placemaking that goes on as we develop these projects. And I think, as we've been saying for many, many years, it's all about connections. Greenways and trails do that better than anything. They connect us to each other, into the special places where we live and work. So 5 years from now, a celebration of Warren Manning's original plan in 2023, in which he envisioned this national interconnected greenway system. And in 2068 will be the 100-year celebration of the National Trail System Act. It will be certainly interesting to see, what happens during that period of time. Today we've had the opportunity to work together as a group, and I love this particular quote. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. We're a group that has no power because we've not been given any power. And my good friend Bob Stern says, no power is all power. And nobody can tell us not to do something. So, as I like to say, we're not the victims of the future, we're the determinants of the future. So a couple of things to think about. Is Warren Manning's plan, is his vision, an achievable vision? If yes, what modifications would we make to that vision? What about a leadership framework for achieving these goals? I feel like we're in a leadership vacuum. Do we want to change that? Do we want to have adjustments to the leadership framework in order to achieve this goal? And funding. It seems to always be the biggest issue and the biggest source of problem for Americans as we think about trails. Do we need to change both funding and the delivery of funding to support the development of an interstate network of greenways and trails? So thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this conference, and thank you for the opportunity to do a video on this subject.